want them now? All right, so by now you should have your name at the top of your paper. Yes, ma'am. Let's put it in Jean's nest. Put your name at the top of your paper. Okay, what's the title of this paper? What's the title of the passage? So what do you think the passage will be about? Who is the passage about? Okay. So what do you think they're going to tell us? About his life. What else, Trynell?
What was it like when he was growing up?
Okay, what was it like? Who's ever heard of John Hancock?
I've heard about him. I've read about him, but I forgot the building.
Have you ever heard of how it's used? Have you ever heard of how John Hancock has been used in a sentence?
Didn't he make something?
Have you ever heard of how it's used in a sentence?
No.
Okay. So let's see if we can figure out how John Hancock is used in a sentence. How do we relate John Hancock to something that we do? So we're going to try to answer that after we read this. All right? Get your highlighters out. And we know how many times did we read?
Twice.
One time for what?
Fun.
And
One time for facts.
Information.
All right. Hurry up. I don't have any more. I don't think mine's worth the time. Hurry up. We got 10 seconds.
I think I put my green.
Yes.
I think I put my green highlight.
I don't have it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What is that one?
I gave no green.
Hurry up. If you don't have a highlighter, you need to just use your pencil. Huh? Who? Yeah, he don't have to wait. Okay. All right, so John Hancock. Follow along as I read. Use your eyes and another object. Your finger, your pencil, your marker, whatever you want to use. Highlight anything that you don't understand. Highlight anything that you think is interesting. You see one interesting fact about him, highlight it. Are we ready? All right. John Hancock was raised by his uncle in Boston, Massachusetts. His uncle sent him to Harvard University and made him a partner in his shipping company. When his uncle died in 1764, John became one of Boston's most wealthy citizens. In 1765, John was elected to the office of Boston Selectman. He quickly joined Samuel Adams and the Sons of Liberty and became a strong opponent of the Stamp Act, a tax levied against the colonists by Great Britain. In 1768, John was appointed as a representative of the Massachusetts legislature. He soon gained the reputation as a strong advocate of American independence. In fact, it was John's shipping company that enabled the financing and smuggling of goods that supported the region's resistance to the British. In 1774, 1 year after Great Britain levied the intolerable coercive acts against the colonists, John was elected president of the Massachusetts Provincial Congress, a new Massachusetts legislature which had the authority to call for troops in the wake of a British threat. The British subsequently charged Hancock with treason. First of all, underline that word subsequently. Does anybody remember where we've seen that word before?
Was it one of our vocabulary words?
It was one of our vocabulary words, but it was also something else when we were talking about different things. We talked about sequence, we talked about cause and effect.
It was one of our transition words.
It was one of the transition words. Good job. Subsequently means next or then. Okay? Yes.
Oh, we have to.
Okay, so that's why you need to pay attention right here. In 1775, British troops were marched to Lexington with the orders to capture John Hancock. It was during this march that the first shots of the American Revolution were fired. John, along with Samuel Adams, ultimately escaped. What paragraph number are we on?
3. I'm not 3.
Okay. Later, in 1775, John was appointed president of the Second Continental Congress. It was John Hancock who commissioned George Washington as commander-in-chief of the Continental Army. On July 4, 1776, John Hancock became the first American to sign the Declaration of Independence. His large, flamboyant signature was by far the most visible of all signatures. According to legend, Hancock signed the document in such a way so that King George III of England could see the signature without his eyeglasses. Throughout the Revolution, the Americans relied on John's ability to raise funds and supplies for the Continental Army. In 1780, he was elected governor of Massachusetts, a post he held for 9 terms. John died in 1793. Today, counties in 10 different states are named in his honor. In addition, the tallest building in Boston is named the John Hancock Building. So, what made John Hancock so unique? How do we relate that to something that we do, or something that I do, something an adult does? What made him so unique in this story? There's one particular thing that made him so unique. Made him stand out. Traynell.
What is it? They named the tallest building was the Hancock Building?
Something that he did. Something that he did. I just gave you a good hint. Tiana.
He was the first American to sign the Declaration of Independence.
That. But something else. Something else. Terrence.
He signed the thing.
I want you to know without looking. Corey.
He was in the Stand Act.
He signed a document of King George.
So that King George III. So what?
Of England.
Okay. He signed the document so that King George III of England could see it. But what made it so unique? Maurice.
He could see it without his eyeglasses.
He could see it without his glasses. What else did they say about his signature? Give me one word that they used to describe his signature.
Stood out.
It stood out. Okay? So, again, earlier I said, how can we relate John Hancock to us? It's always been known, John Hancock has been known as our signature. Okay? A lot of times you'll hear adults say, let me get your John Hancock. That means you signing something.
I ain't never heard nobody say that.
I wouldn't expect you to hear about it. But I expect you to raise your hand next time.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
When you write, have you ever said you?
When I've written,
When you have written, have you ever said you finished John Hancock?
someone has said to me, can I get your John Hancock? Or I've said, can I get your John Hancock? John Hancock stands for our signature because he was known for his flamboyant and his different and unique signature.
Somebody on the phone said that to my mom.
Okay. Yes, sir.
So that means you like write it big?
That means you write it and you just write it in a unique way. He wrote it big and flamboyant at that time because he wanted someone to see it without their glasses, right? So just nobody here. If you wrote something and Tiana could see it without her glasses, and you were John Hancock, then that's what makes your signature so unique. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
All right. So now look at your questions. Flip your page over. Go ahead and scan through your questions. Scan through your questions. After you scan through your questions, I'm going to give you about 3 to 4 minutes to go back and read. You should be using your finger and reading. If there's something that you remember reading, highlight it. If something you remember seeing while you're looking at your questions, highlight it.
So we can answer a couple of
Do not answer your questions now. Nope. You're gonna go back and reread. And the point is, sometimes when you reread and you go back to answer your questions, you can answer them right then and there. You don't have to keep flipping back and forth. You understood the reading the second time. Spend the time. Okay, I'm okay, we'll just sit down and read. You're not answering questions. Another good strategy while you're reading is to highlight. Good job, Alexis. Because when you're highlighting, it lets you know, oh, I remember seeing a question about this. So you already know you got your answer highlighted when you flip it back over. Did you underline? Okay, good. Good job. And the paragraph should be numbered.